everyone, and welcome back to Speak Your Flow. I'm Michael.
And I'm Olivia. We are so excited to have you here today for what I think will be one of our most practical episodes yet.
Absolutely. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that so many of our listeners have requested: how to talk to anyone with confidence. Whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, or somewhere in between, this episode is going to give you real, actionable strategies.
That's right. And we're not just going to tell you what to do, we're going to show you exactly how to do it with examples, role plays, and step-by-step guidance. Plus, as always, we'll teach you essential vocabulary and phrases you can use right away.
So grab a notebook, get comfortable, and let's begin. Olivia, let's start with a question that I think many of our listeners can relate to. Have you ever felt nervous before starting a conversation with someone new?
Oh, absolutely. Even now, sometimes I feel that little flutter of nervousness. And you know what? That's completely normal. In fact, studies show that about 75% of people experience some level of social anxiety.
Wow, that's most people. So if you're listening and thinking this is just me, trust me, it's not. Even the most confident-looking people often feel nervous inside. The difference is they've learned strategies to manage those feelings.
Exactly. And that's what we're here to teach you today. So, Michael, let's start with the foundation. Why do people feel nervous when talking to others?
Great question. There are usually three main reasons. First, fear of judgment. People worry about what others will think of them. Second, fear of rejection. What if the other person doesn't like me? And third, fear of awkwardness. What if I don't know what to say and the conversation dies?
Those fears are so common. But here's the good news. Once you understand these fears, you can work through them. Let's start by teaching some essential vocabulary. Our first word is confidence. Confidence. Michael, how would you define confidence?
Confidence is the feeling of self-assurance that comes from believing in your own abilities. For example, she spoke with confidence during her presentation and everyone was impressed. Confidence isn't about being perfect, it's about being comfortable with who you are, even with your imperfections.
I love that definition. And you know what builds confidence? Practice and preparation. The more conversations you have, the more confident you become. It's like learning to ride a bike. At first, it's scary, but eventually it becomes natural.
Perfect analogy. Now let's talk about small talk. Smalltalk. Small talk is light, casual conversation about everyday topics. It might be about the weather, weekend plans, current events, or simple observations about your surroundings.
A lot of people dismiss small talk as superficial or boring, but it's actually incredibly important. Small talk is how relationships begin. It's the bridge between being strangers and becoming friends or colleagues.
Exactly. Think of small talk as the warm-up before the main event. You wouldn't run a marathon without stretching first, right? Small talk is that conversational warm-up that makes deeper discussions possible.
Great point. So let's learn how to master small talk. The key is to start with what I call universal topics. These are subjects that almost anyone can relate to and have an opinion about.
What are some examples of universal topics?
Great question. Here are some safe universal topics: weather, food, travel, hobbies, entertainment like movies or music, work or studies, and current local events. For example, you could say, "This weather has been amazing lately, hasn't it?" Or, "Have you tried that new restaurant downtown?"
Those are perfect. Notice how both of those examples end with a question. That's crucial because questions invite responses and keep the conversation going. Let's teach our listeners about question types.
Yes, there are two main types of questions, close-ended and open-ended. Close-ended questions can be answered with just yes or no. For example, do you like coffee? Open-ended questions require more detailed answers. For example, what kind of coffee do you enjoy?
Open-ended questions are your best friend in conversations. They encourage the other person to share more, which gives you more material to work with. Let me give you a formula. Start with words like what, how, why, or tell me about.
That's such a helpful formula. Let's practice. Instead of, did you have a good weekend, try, what did you do this weekend? Instead of, do you like your job, ask, what do you enjoy most about your work?
See the difference? Open-ended questions show genuine interest and create opportunities for longer, more engaging responses. Now let's talk about our next important concept, active listening. ACTIVE
Active listening is one of the most powerful conversation skills you can develop. It means fully concentrating on what the other person is saying, understanding their message, and responding thoughtfully. You're not just waiting for your turn to talk.
This is so important. Many people think being good at conversation means being a great talker, but actually, being a great listener is even more valuable. When you listen actively, you make the other person feel heard and valued, and that creates connection.
Absolutely. So, how do we practice active listening? First, eliminate distractions. Put your phone away and give the person your full attention. Second, maintain appropriate eye contact, not staring, but looking at them naturally.
Third, use nonverbal cues to show you're engaged. Nod occasionally, lean in slightly, and maintain an open posture. Fourth, use verbal acknowledgments like, I see, that's interesting. Really? Or tell me more about that.
And here's a powerful technique, paraphrasing. This means restating what someone said in your own words to show you understood. For example, if someone says, I've been really stressed at work because we have a big project deadline coming up, you could respond, so you're feeling pressure because of this upcoming deadline.
That's perfect, Olivia. Paraphrasing does two things. It confirms you understood correctly, and it shows the other person you care about what they're saying. Plus, it often encourages them to elaborate further.
Now, let's talk about something that many people overlook, body language. BODYLANGUAGE. Body language includes all the nonverbal signals we send through our posture, gestures, facial expressions, and positioning.
Research shows that body language can account for up to 55% of communication. That means more than half of your message comes from how you present yourself physically, not just the words you say.
That's incredible. So even if you're saying all the right things, if your body language is closed off or distracted, the other person will pick up on that disconnect. Let's teach positive body language habits.
First, posture. Stand or sit up straight with your shoulders back. This projects confidence, even if you don't feel confident yet. There's actually a feedback loop here. Good posture makes you feel more confident, which then comes through in your conversation.
Second, keep your arms uncrossed. Crossing your arms can make you appear defensive, closed off, or uninterested, even if that's not how you feel. Instead, keep your hands relaxed at your sides or use natural gestures when you speak.
Third, smile genuinely. A real smile engages your whole face, including your eyes. It makes you appear warm, friendly, and approachable. People are naturally drawn to those who smile.
Fourth, face the person you're talking to. Don't look at your phone, glance around the room constantly, or turn your body away. These actions signal disinterest, even if you don't mean them that way.
And finally, respect personal space. Different cultures have different norms, but generally, standing about 2 to 4 feet away is comfortable for most conversations in Western cultures.
Those are excellent guidelines. Now let's move on to actually starting conversations. Michael, what's the best way to approach someone new?
The best way is to be friendly and genuine. Start with a simple greeting and a smile. You could say, "Hi, I'm Michael," or "Hello, I don't think we've met yet." Then follow up with an observation or question related to your shared context.
Can you give us some specific examples for different situations?
Sure. At a party or social event, you could say, "Hi, I'm Michael. How do you know Sarah?" Or, "This is a great party. Have you been to this venue before?" At a networking event, try, "Hello, I'm Michael. What brings you to this event?" Or, "Hi, I'm Michael. What industry are you in?"
Those are perfect. What about more casual settings like a coffee shop or gym?
Great question. In casual settings, you want to be a bit more subtle. You could start with an observation or compliment. For example, "That book looks interesting. What's it about?" Or, "I love your laptop case. Where did you get it?" These are low-pressure conversation starters.
I love those. The key is to make it natural and relevant to the situation. Now, let's talk about keeping conversations flowing. The word flowing is important. Flowing. When a conversation is flowing, it means it's moving naturally and smoothly, like water in a river.
Beautiful. So how do we keep that flow going? One of my favorite techniques is what I call the thread method. Every sentence someone says contains multiple threads or topics you can pull on to continue the conversation.
Can you demonstrate this with an example?
Absolutely. Imagine someone says, "I work as a graphic designer and I just started training for a marathon in my free time." That single sentence has at least 4 conversation threads. You could ask about their design work, what kind of projects they do, their marathon training, or what motivated them to start running.
That's brilliant. You never run out of things to say when you learn to identify these threads. Another technique I love is called relating. RELATING. This means sharing a relevant personal experience that connects to what the other person said.
Yes, this is powerful because it creates connection and shows you understand their experience. For example, if someone mentions they're learning Spanish, you could say, "That's awesome. I studied French in college and I found language learning so rewarding. What inspired you to learn Spanish?"
Perfect example. Notice how Michael shared his related experience briefly, then immediately asked a question to bring the focus back to them. That's the key. Don't hijack the conversation with your own stories. Share briefly, then return attention to them.
Exactly right. Now, let's talk about some common conversation mistakes that people make so you can avoid them. First major mistake, interrupting. Never cut someone off mid-sentence. Let them finish their complete thought before you respond.
Second mistake, one-word answers. If someone asks, "How was your weekend?" don't just say, "Good." Instead, say something like, "It was really nice. I went hiking with some friends and discovered a beautiful trail. How about yours?" Give them something to work with.
Third mistake, controversial topics too soon. When you're first getting to know someone, avoid heavy topics like politics, religion, or divisive social issues unless they bring it up first. Stick to lighter, more universal topics initially.
Fourth mistake, complaining excessively. We all need to vent sometimes, but constant negativity is draining. If someone asks how you are, don't launch into a list of everything wrong in your life. Stay generally positive, especially with new acquaintances.
Fifth mistake, not asking questions. Conversations are a two-way street. If you only talk about yourself and never ask about the other person, they'll feel like you're not interested in them. Balance is key.
And sixth mistake, fake interest. People can usually tell when you're pretending to care. If you're genuinely not interested in a topic, it's okay to politely transition to something else. Say something like, "That's interesting, by the way. I've been curious about."
Those are crucial points. Now let's teach some useful phrases for navigating different conversation situations. First, what if you didn't hear or understand something? You can say, "I'm sorry, could you repeat that?" Or, "I didn't quite catch that. Could you say it again?"
If you need clarification, try, "Just to make sure I understand, you're saying that," or "Could you explain what you mean by that?" These phrases show you're engaged and want to understand correctly.
If you want to change the subject politely, you can say, "That's fascinating. Speaking of which, have you heard about," or "That reminds me, I wanted to ask you about." This creates a smooth transition without being abrupt.
And when you need to end a conversation gracefully, try, "It's been really great talking with you, but I should get going." Or, "I've really enjoyed our conversation. Would it be okay if we exchanged contact information?" These phrases are polite and clear.
Excellent phrases. Now, let's discuss dealing with nervousness, because even with all these techniques, people still feel anxious. I want to share a mindset shift that really helps. Focus on curiosity, not performance.
What do you mean by that?
When we're nervous, we're usually worried about how we're coming across. We're performing. But if you shift your mindset to being genuinely curious about the other person, the pressure comes off you. You're not trying to impress them, you're trying to learn about them.
That's such a powerful reframe. It takes the spotlight off yourself and puts it where it should be, on connection. Another tip I have is preparation. Before going to a social event, think of 3 interesting things that happened to you recently that you could share.
That's smart. Having a few stories or topics in your back pocket reduces anxiety because you know you have material to work with. Also, practice in low-stakes situations. Start conversations with cashiers, baristas, people in elevators, or neighbors. These brief interactions build your comfort level.
And remember, mistakes are part of learning. If you stumble over words, say something awkward, or have a conversation that doesn't go well, it's okay. Every conversation is practice. There's no failure, only feedback.
Absolutely. Now, let's do some role-play scenarios so listeners can hear these techniques in action. Olivia, let's imagine we're at a coffee shop and I'm approaching you. Ready?
Ready.
Excuse me, is anyone sitting here?
No, feel free. It's pretty crowded today.
It really is. I come here pretty often for the atmosphere and the coffee, of course. Are you a regular here too?
I am. I practically live here on weekends. I'm working on a presentation for work right now. The coffee definitely helps with the motivation. What brings you here today?
I'm actually working on a writing project. I find I'm more productive here than at home. What kind of work do you do that requires presentations?
I'm in marketing, so presentations are a big part of my job. And a writing project sounds interesting. What are you writing?
Perfect. Let's pause there. Listeners, did you notice what we did? We started with a polite question about the seed, made an observation about the environment, asked open-ended questions, found common threads, and showed genuine interest in each other's activities.
Exactly. The conversation flowed naturally because we were both engaged and curious. Let's try another scenario. Michael, imagine we're at a professional networking event. You start.
Hi, I'm Michael. This is my first time at this event. Have you been before?
Hello, Michael. I'm Olivia. Yes, I've attended a few times. They usually have great speakers. What brought you here today?
I'm looking to connect with other professionals in the tech industry and learn about new developments in the field. I saw the speaker lineup and knew I had to come. Are you in tech as well?
I'm in digital marketing, so there's definitely overlap with tech. What area of tech do you work in?
I'm a software developer, primarily working on mobile applications. With your marketing background, you probably have insights into user experience that I'd love to hear about.
Oh, absolutely. User experience is so crucial. I'd be happy to share some thoughts. How long have you been developing mobile apps?
Great. Let's pause again. Notice how this felt different from the coffee shop conversation? It was a bit more professional and focused on work-related topics, which is appropriate for a networking event.
Exactly. You have to adjust your conversation style based on the context and setting. At a networking event, people expect to talk about professional topics. At a casual social gathering, you'd focus more on hobbies and personal interests.
That brings up an important point about cultural awareness. Different cultures have different conversation norms. In some cultures, direct eye contact shows confidence and respect. In others, it might be seen as aggressive or disrespectful.
That's so true. In some cultures, people stand very close when talking. In others, they prefer more personal space. In some places, it's normal to discuss personal topics quickly. In others, people take more time to build rapport before getting personal.
So what should you do? Be observant and adaptable. Pay attention to how the other person communicates and try to meet them where they are. And if you're unsure, it's perfectly okay to ask respectfully.
Absolutely. You could say something like, "I'm curious about communication styles in your culture. Is there anything I should know to be respectful?" Most people appreciate when you show interest in understanding their background.
Now let's talk about difficult conversation situations. What do you do when there's an awkward silence? First, don't panic. Pauses are natural and okay. Take a breath, and then you can use one of these strategies.
Strategy 1, comment on your shared environment. "This music is great," or "Have you tried the food here?" Strategy 2, go back to something they mentioned earlier. "Earlier, you mentioned your trip to Spain. I'd love to hear more about that."
Strategy 3. Ask about their interests or opinions. What do you like to do in your free time? Or have you seen any good movies lately? Strategy 4. Share something about yourself and then ask them the same. I've been trying to learn guitar recently. Do you play any instruments?
These are all great. The key is to not let the silence become uncomfortable in your own mind. Often the other person is just thinking or enjoying a moment of quiet, and it's only awkward if you make it awkward.
So true. Another difficult situation, what if someone isn't responsive or seems uninterested? First, recognize that it might not be about you. They could be having a bad day, be naturally introverted, or be preoccupied with something else.
Right. If you've made a genuine effort and they're consistently giving one-word answers or seem disengaged, it's okay to politely wrap up the conversation. You could say, "Well, I'll let you get back to what you were doing. It was nice meeting you."
Exactly. Not every conversation will be amazing, and that's okay. Move on gracefully and don't take it personally. Now, let's review all the key vocabulary we've learned today. Are you ready, Olivia?
Ready. We learned confidence, small talk, flowing, active listening, body language, relating, open-ended questions, paraphrasing, threads, and many more terms related to communication.
And let's review our main strategies. Number 1, ask open-ended questions that start with what, how, why, or tell me about. Number 2, practice active listening by giving your full attention, using verbal and nonverbal cues, and paraphrasing what you hear.
Number 3, use positive body language, including good posture, uncrossed arms, genuine smiles, and appropriate eye contact. Number 4, find conversation threads in what people say and use those to keep the dialogue flowing naturally.
Number 5, share related personal experiences briefly, then bring the focus back to the other person. Number 6, prepare some topics in advance so you have material to work with. Number 7, Practice in low-stakes situations to build your confidence gradually.
And perhaps most importantly, be genuine. Authenticity is more valuable than perfection. People connect with real humans, not polished robots. Show your personality, be yourself, and focus on making genuine connections.
I love that. Confidence isn't about being perfect or never feeling nervous. It's about being comfortable with who you are, managing your anxiety, and genuinely connecting with others despite your imperfections.
So, listeners, here's your assignment for this week. We want you to challenge yourself to start 3 conversations with people you don't know well. Use at least 2 or 3 of the techniques we taught you today.
It could be a colleague you haven't talked to much, someone at your gym, a neighbor, or even someone in line at the coffee shop. After each conversation, take a moment to reflect. What went well? What could you improve? What did you learn about the other person?
And remember, every conversation is an opportunity to practice and improve. Some will go great, some will be okay, and some might be awkward. That's all part of the learning process.
The more you practice these skills, the more natural they'll become. Eventually, you won't have to think about the techniques because they'll be second nature. That's when you know you've truly developed conversational confidence.
Before we go, I want to remind everyone that building these skills takes time. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate small victories like maintaining eye contact or asking a good open-ended question. Progress, not perfection, is the goal.
Wonderfully said. And if you want to dive even deeper into communication skills, check out some of our other episodes on topics like public speaking, storytelling, and professional communication.
That's all we have for today's episode of Speak Your Flow. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. We hope you feel more confident and equipped to talk to anyone, anywhere.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up, and leave a comment sharing your conversation experiences or questions. We read every single comment and love hearing from you.
You can also follow us on social media for daily tips and inspiration. We're always sharing quick conversation strategies and vocabulary lessons.
Until next time, remember, every person you meet has a story to tell. Your job is simply to be curious, be genuine, and be yourself. You've got this.
Keep practicing and keep speaking. Speak your flow.
Bye, everyone.
See you next time.